Hello, everyone. If you have ever held a needle in your hand, eyes strained, hands shaking, mouth whispering, "Why is the needle hole so small?" then you are not alone. Threading a needle sounds simple, but in reality, it makes many people lose patience, especially for those with poor eyesight, weak hands, or in a hurry. And the thing is, not everyone has a specialized threading tool at home. So today, I will show you 2 extremely creative and easy-to-do tips at home, which can help you thread a needle many times faster without having to look closely or align it precisely. With just simple, easy-to-find items around us, such as bottle caps, old electrical wires, or a small safety pin, you can create a super effective needle threading assistant in less than 5 minutes. In this video, I will share a tip for threading a needle using a bottle cap and copper wire, making use of discarded electrical wires, and another super quick trick using a safety pin and your finger. It takes less than 3 seconds. Trust me, after watching this, you'll want to save it and try making one for when you need to sew. Now, let's start with the first trick. Make a needle threader out of a bottle cap and copper wire. Tip 1. Thread a needle using a bottle cap and copper wire. I took out a regular screw-on plastic bottle cap and a short piece of wire. This is a soft wire with a small copper core inside, perfect for making this tool. Using scissors, I cut the outer plastic shell of the wire to expose the inside. There are usually 2 small cores of wire. I took one out, then pulled out the small copper wire inside. Once I had the small copper wire, I folded the wire in half so that the 2 ends were equal, creating a small loop in the middle. This is the part to thread the thread through. I used a heat sealer to punch 2 small holes in the bottle cap. The first hole was punched in the middle of the cap. The second hole was slightly to the right, just enough space to hold the copper wire firmly. Note, punch from the outside in to avoid tearing or breaking the bottle cap. I threaded each end of the copper wire through the 2 holes on the lid, threading from the outside in, leaving the small loop on the outside of the lid. After positioning, I used a glue gun to fix the inside of the copper wire, preventing the wire from moving when used. Wait for the glue to cool, and we have a complete homemade needle threader. I use scissors to gently thread the end of the copper wire, the loop, to make it sharper and thinner, making it easier to pass through the needle hole. Next, I will hold the bottle cap in my right hand, then take a sewing needle and thread the copper wire into the needle hole. Next, thread the thread through the copper wire gap and pull the thread out a bit. Then, I hold the pliers and pull it straight out, so the thread is quickly in the needle hole. This tip is extremely useful when you need to thread continuously, or to help the elderly or nearsighted people sew without straining their eyes. The materials are cheap, easy to find, and the effect will surprise you. This trick not only helps you thread quickly without straining your eyes, but is also extremely useful for the elderly, people with shaky hands or weak eyes. With a compact, easy-to-make tool, you can reuse it many times every time you need to sew, without having to bother finding the way to the tiny needle hole again. Tip 2. Use a safety pin to thread the thread. If you don't have a bottle cap or copper wire on hand, this second tip is your savior. Extremely simple, just a safety pin and your index finger, you can thread the thread into the needle in a few seconds without having to aim carefully or adjust the needle. You should choose a safety pin with a small tip that fits the needle hole. If you use a small sewing needle, you should choose a small safety pin for easy insertion. I open the safety pin, keeping the sharp tip free. Then take a piece of thread about 15 to 20 centimeters long. Then thread the thread through my index finger so that the thread lies horizontally on the surface of my finger and has a moderate tension. Next, I place the needle hole right in the middle of the thread so that the needle hole presses lightly on the thread that is lying on my hand. This helps to fix the thread in the right position, not slipping when performing the next step. I use the pointed end of the safety pin, gently inserted from the bottom, up through the needle hole, hooking the thread that was on my finger. Because the thread was already aligned in the right position and had tension, I just had to bring the safety pin up, and the thread would automatically go through the needle hole smoothly, without having to try to push each end of the thread, as in the traditional way. In less than 3 seconds, the thread was hooked and went through the needle hole perfectly, without having to strain my eyes or close my eyes. I gently pulled the thread through the needle hole, adjusted both ends evenly, and that was it. After successfully threading the blue thread, I continued to repeat the entire operation with the pink thread to prove the effectiveness and ease of application of this tip. The result is still the same: fast, neat, accurate. Why is this tip worth trying? No need for specialized tools. Everyone has safety pins at home. Suitable for people with poor eyesight, shaky hands, or in a hurry. No need to pull the thread straight or stiff. Just press lightly and the thread will find its own way into the needle. Easy to do, can be done with one hand if needed. So today, I have shared with you 2 extremely simple, quick and easy tips for threading a needle at home. Whether you use a bottle cap and copper wire, or just a safety pin and a finger, threading a needle is no longer difficult or time-consuming. Hopefully, these little tips will help you feel more comfortable when sewing, save time, and reduce frustration every time you need to use a needle. If you find the video useful, don't forget to like, share with your friends, and subscribe to the channel to support me to create more great tips. See you in the next video.